A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a significant ruling on Monday, the U.S. Supreme Court has allowed the Trump administration to advance its contentious plan to dismantle the Department of Education. This decision marks a pivotal moment in the former president's ongoing efforts to reduce the federal government's involvement in public education, shifting more control to state authorities. The court's ruling lifted a prior injunction imposed by a lower court, which had temporarily reinstated nearly 1,400 employees who faced layoffs and had blocked the transfer of essential departmental functions to other federal agencies. Critics of the administration's approach argue that these changes could severely undermine protections for students and disrupt vital funding streams for schools nationwide. The Supreme Court's action came through a brief and signed order, with dissenting opinions from the 3 liberal justices. A coalition of 21 Democratic attorneys general, along with school districts and unions, had filed legal challenges against the administration's plans, warning that the proposed layoffs and departmental changes would jeopardize the core responsibilities of the Department of Education. Democracy Forward, a legal organization representing the plaintiffs, expressed deep concern over the ruling, stating it poses a significant threat to the promise of public education for all children in the country. "We will aggressively pursue every legal option as this case proceeds to ensure that all children in this country have access to the public education they deserve," said Skye Perryman, the president and CEO of the group. Established by Congress in 1979, the Department of Education plays a critical role in administering college loans, tracking student achievement, and enforcing civil rights in schools. It also provides federal funding to support needy districts and assist students with disabilities. Federal law restricts the department from controlling school operations, including curriculum and staffing decisions, which are primarily managed by state and local governments that contribute over 85% of public school funding. Critics within the Republican Party have long viewed the Department of Education as a symbol of bureaucratic inefficiency, advocating for a smaller federal government and greater state autonomy. In March, Trump reiterated his commitment to reforming the education sector by proposing the closure of the department, stating, "We're going to be returning education, very simply, back to the states where it belongs." He signed an executive order aimed at minimizing the department's functions, while promising to preserve certain essential services, such as Pell Grants for low-income students and federal support for disadvantaged students. However, he indicated that these services would be reassigned to other agencies. Trump directed the transfer of the department's $1.6 trillion student loan portfolio to the Small Business Administration and the Special Education Services to the Department of Health and Human Services. While dissolving the department entirely would necessitate congressional approval, the downsizing plan announced by Education Secretary Linda McMahon aimed to reduce the department's workforce to approximately half of its size when Trump assumed office. McMahon hailed the Supreme Court's decision as a significant victory for students and families, asserting that the Department of Education would now fulfill its mandate to restore excellence in American education. In her dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor criticized the ruling, arguing that it empowered the president to effectively nullify statutes by dismissing those necessary for their enforcement. Sotomayor warned that lifting the lower court's injunction could result in substantial harm, delaying or denying educational opportunities for students and leaving them vulnerable to discrimination and other civil rights violations. The ruling follows a previous decision by U.S. District Judge Myong Jown, who had determined that the proposed mass layoffs would likely cripple the department's operations. Judge Jown ordered the reinstatement of the affected employees and blocked the administration's plan to transfer departmental functions. The First U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals had upheld this decision, stating that the layoffs would make it nearly impossible for the department to fulfill its legal obligations, which include overseeing student loans and enforcing civil rights laws in education. The Justice Department, in its request to the Supreme Court, accused Judge Jown of judicial overreach. Opponents of the administration's plan have raised alarms that the mass layoffs could impede the distribution of federal aid to low-income schools and students with special needs, potentially leading to budget shortfalls that could force cuts to essential programs and teaching staff. They also contend that Trump's efforts would undermine initiatives aimed at combating discrimination in schools and analyzing critical data on student performance. As the legal battle continues to unfold, the implications of the Supreme Court's ruling on the future of public education in the United States remain uncertain, with advocates for educational equity and access vowing to pursue all available legal avenues to protect the rights of students across the nation. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.